Hello.
Everyone is going to die, also known as The Visitors, written and directed by Craig Toohey and stars Jaime Winstone, daughter of Ray Winstone. And this, I suppose, is a little bit like The Strangers meets Knock Knock. It is a home invasion thriller slash kind of revenge movie. So the story here is we have this guy and he is a successful businessman. He kind of feels like he's inspired by Andrew Tate, or at least he's that type of guy, you know, very flash, I guess you would say, and somewhat of a dismissive attitude towards women. And he's kind of there with his young daughter who is 16, celebrating her 16th birthday. They have a fractious relationship because of the divorce with the mother. Anyway, whilst the two of them are at his home, they have some visitors, and there's these two masked women who ultimately, first of all, seem to want to play with these two people, but then it seems that they want to rob them, but then it seems they have other motivations as well. What will happen? You have to watch the movie and find out. So let's talk about it. What works in this movie's favour? So this is more of a thriller more than a kind of horror movie, really. So it is quite thrilling, that being said. I have to say, I thought this was a taut, lean thriller with some pretty uncomfortable scenes, I have to say. Because wisely, I'm not going to spoil it here, the motivations for these two home invaders, they seem mixed. You don't quite know what they want, but you know that they are hiding something. You know there's a greater motivation kind of in the background here, and they do seem genuinely kind of unhinged. You know, they seem dangerous. I think the performances are really strong, I have to say. I think everyone here does a good and believable job in their role. Yeah, you could argue maybe that the role's a little bit exaggerated, but I think it's indicative of the extremes of society in one way, in more than one way. So that was pretty good. I think when we have our violence on screen, it hits pretty hard, feels brutal and somewhat unexpected. And as the film goes on, I think it's very timely. And it's cut from the politics of modern society. So, you know, it feels like it's got something to say about the way the world is today. So it has a kind of a good narrative just for a film, but it also is sort of commenting on certain aspects of society. So I think that was it was all well done. And generally speaking, I think the kind of the thrill and the kind of the mystery about what is going on and who these people are and what it is they are wanting at the end of the day makes for an intriguing story. What doesn't work, I think this movie actually, to be honest with you, is fairly strong without minimal critiques. The only thing I would say is I don't think the third act is as strong as the first two. For a couple of reasons. Let me just, without spoiling anything, let me just say the very last shot of the film, it suggests something, and I'm not going to tell you what, that I think contradicts what we've seen previously. Now, I'm not quite sure if the filmmakers were suggesting something, or whether it's just me reading into it, but it seems to me at least, they were suggesting a potential kind of like element of the story we hadn't seen before. And you can either take it one of two ways. Either it goes one way, but then again it kind of then contradicts what we've seen previously in the movie, or if it goes a different way, I think it doesn't really make logical sense, and I found it a little bit unbelievable. Hard to talk about without actually saying what it is, but there it is. So that's the very, very final shot of the film. But the third act in general, there's a lot of moralising in this movie. This film is a lot about people holding someone else to account and trying to have moral superiority over them. But at the same time, I think people who are judging one are then doing things that I think are equally, if not worse. That being said, again, hard to kind of talk about without really giving spoilers here. But yeah, it's like people in glass houses shouldn't throw stones. I mean, it might not be the same stones, but I think equally, if not worse, in regards to the morality scale there to a certain degree. Yeah, so I had some problems with the third act, and the only other thing I would say is that I felt the movie, the guy who is this kind of prisoner, I suppose, I think there were occasions where he probably would have fought back had this been a realistic situation, where I felt he probably would have got it, because he's like a confident, somewhat aggressive guy. I feel that he would have fought back a little bit. There's one instance where he does, but I think it would have happened earlier. So, that being said, they're relatively minor quibbles. I think this is a strong thriller. I think it's an exciting movie with social messaging. That might put you off all by itself. But I will say it's a 7 out of 10 for me. Have you seen it? Would you see it based on what I've told you? Please let me know what your thoughts are, and I look forward to seeing you next time.